Yo, what's going on, guys? Makowski here, welcoming you back to the G1 podcast. We got episode 2 here, and it's a really special one, near and dear to my heart. We have my former teammate, Eli The Ninja. Eli, what's going on, man?
And current teammate.
Don't
disrespect him.
Sorry. Former and current teammate, Eli The Ninja. What's going on, dude?
Man, it is kind of crazy that it comes full circle after how many years now? I mean, 2004, I think we started playing together.
Yeah, 04 is when we first started playing
early
together.
Halo 2 days. And here we are in 2023, 2022, depending on when this podcast comes out. I don't even know, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. So for anybody that doesn't know, I'm Eli The Ninja. Been in the scene forever, I feel like. One of the oldest cats in Halo at the time. Right now I was the coach for the first season of HCS for G1. Also content creator. I mean, I wear many hats. I guess analyst, social media kind of guy. So yeah, I do a lot of things for G1.
Yeah, and
so
going back to the origin story, I guess for Eli and I, that dates back to 2004. But I think the origin story for how we got back together is a little bit more interesting even than how we first got started off. So
yeah,
February 5th, 2021, I was in a really bad accident, nearly lost my life, broke my neck. And in the moment of impact where my truck is getting tossed through the sky, I had my life flash before my eyes. And in that moment, all the things that matter to me portrayed themselves, every experience, every person, every moment. And one of the ones that stuck on for the longest in that, it was probably like a split second, felt like years and years and years and years of being in that tunnel. But one of the moments from my life that really stopped and felt like it was in real time and not this rush was back in 2009 when we were teammates in Halo 3. And as my life is flashing before my eyes, you and I are on Amplified, and you're showing me the spawns. You're teaching me mathematically, geometrically, how to predict where players spawn so I can have a little bit of additional game sense going into, I think it was MLG Columbus 09 at that time. And I remember coming to and having the ability to kind of process that experience afterwards. And I was like, I haven't talked to Eli in 10 plus years. And this dude was a massive part of a massive moment in people's lives where, like I said, your life, quite literally, that's a true thing. It happens. Your life flashes before your eyes. So I was trying to piece back together. I was like, why was Eli such a crucial, pivotal part of that? And I realized, dude, is that lesson you taught me about spawns is something that I carried with me through not only that tournament where I was able to use it actually to have the #1 slaying match against Believe the Hype on Amplified.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, went 18, 12, and 8.
I remember.
Tied Ogre 2 and Snipe Down for the best performance that year. And that was all because of you, dude. I had those guys on a cycle. And it was all based off that spawn awareness that you taught me. And then even going further into my career when I started creating content, I was still using that spawn knowledge because in a game like Destiny, where you're looking to hit clips, you're going to have to hit a clip, a really good one, you're going to probably kill one player twice, right? And if you want to kill that player twice, you're going to have to catch them off their spawn. So moving and using kind of the map as like an anchor point and moving into spawns, I realized looking back at it that that lesson had stuck with me for the entirety of my life and was a big part of the success I had both in competition and content. So I see you shaking your head, what is it like to did you even know you had that impact on me?
Man, it's such a crazy thing to think about. Honestly, my whole life I've kind of been a person that wants to make those kind of impacts for people. I always think about okay, what if life was a video game and there was a stat page where you could flip to see your life stats, and it would be number of lives positively influenced, number of lives negatively influenced, and I always want that ratio to be as high as possible.
Fable, something like Fable.
Yeah, like your evil to good meter, and you're trying to max out good, or you do the playthrough where you go evil just for fun, whatever. But I don't know. I always think about that, and it's really crazy to hear it from someone's mouth that I really did make that much of an impact. And honestly, the reason I knew that was just because I've always wanted to know how the game worked at a fundamental level so that I could use it to my advantage in multiplayer. And that was actually deep in the Bungie forums back when, I don't know if they still exist. Does Bungie still have forums?
I think they do.
I don't know if they do anymore.
They've wiped a lot of the records, though.
Most of those organizational based forums don't exist anymore. Like the MLG forums and stuff, they may be archived somewhere on like maybe the Wayback Machine or something like that, but I don't think they live on Bungie's website at all.
It's crazy. But I mean, I remember there was a forum post where somebody actually asked one of the devs, like, hey, how does the spawn system even actually work? And it was like the first time that they detailed it in full listing, exactly how the point system works, which is what I ended up teaching you on Amplified. It was like standing in a certain spot has a minus 150 within a certain radius, and it decays over time. So like where you were 30 seconds ago is actually still impacting people that are spawning now. And like the whole decay system, and like how your teammates have like a positive effect on that number value. And I don't know, it's really cool that you're in a car accident, and like I actually studied near-death experiences a lot, and like those are usually when you see like the most impactful points of your life. And and me teaching you spawns on Amplified, like who would have thought? And then that's what sparked you to call me up, and then we decided like let's start doing Halo 3 customs again. And played with your community, my community on stream.
I'd pop in there a little bit.
Yeah, you played some games with us.
I know we had talked about getting into Halo Infinite at the time, but at its core, it really was just like, hey man, I'm thinking about you. Let's link back up. Infinite's coming out. Let's get the hype train started with some Halo 3 customs.
Yeah, one of those customs, I believe Eli and I were on the same team. It was like a little draft. We had two community members. We're playing Guardian, Team Slayer. We're up by like 5-6 kills. We're like 49 to like 44, 43. And basically we're like, hey, we're all stuck at top gold, like /blue. And we're like, all right, and just let's chill. And like they got to make the play. So let's hold it down, maybe get this camo, and let's win. And Matt grabs a top snipe, and sitting on the little like snipe elbow, and picks like one or two dudes off, and I'm like, all right, like let's not peek or anything. And
it was 31 to 41.
No, this was for the win.
You're talking about we had 49.
But even at the very beginning, it was 31 to 40. Like you guys were in the 40. You guys were up by 10 plus.
We were kicking your ass.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was. I'm talking about just the play at the end where. And like literally fucking everybody. Bro,
I think you went on a killing frenzy.
It was a running riot.
Yeah,
15.
No,
you know what's so funny? Before Cody started saying that, I had to repress that from my memory because it was such a painful way to lose.
Made me so mad,
bro. Like,
we should play the clip over this commentary.
Because you kept picking people that were like
don't peek, bro.
Like jumping gate jump from blue to top gold. And eventually I was like, you know what, we need one kill. So you were just popping off, and then eventually your whole team like converges.
Just collapsed.
One guy goes like top mid, another guy goes like bottom green up and lifts to camo. Yep. So I'm flanking around like blue to like glass, and you're like all the way up right in front of top gold at this point, and full shields. Like I tink a nade, and as the nade explodes, I'm about to get the headshot. You end up getting I think it was like an overkill for the win, and that fucking made me so mad.
That legit was repressed from my memory. Thanks for bringing that back up, bro.
Eli was dropping like 40s on our objectives and stuff.
That was a pivotal moment for me because that really brought back the nostalgia and kind of like the feel of like competing in Halo 3 and making a play. And I remember that being like, all right, like we're back. Like you and I are back. Like we're playing again. We're loving Halo. We're bringing the community. We're getting the community involved. And yeah, going back to that moment where I had that wreck, the last thing I saw in that moment before coming to and back into reality was you with the G1 jersey on coaching us. And so talk me through that experience. I know that was kind of a whirlwind. I called you, and
let's get behind a little bit more behind Eli's history before we get into the modern day stuff. I want to hear Eli's experience as a young ninja back in the 2003, 2004 days, because a lot of people don't know. The right ones do. You were one of the early adopters and pioneers of one of the most competitive things that existed in console/controller FPS before the innovation of paddles and stuff, which is the claw.
Yeah.
And you were able to take that in Halo 2 era to your advantage with like the button glitches and stuff. So I think that's just like another thing to ode to your kind of inclination for the technicalities behind things and competitive advantage. So How did you like? Because I know you mentioned to me before you clawed before it was even in FPS, like at least for Halo.
Yeah. So going back, I mean, my whole life, like growing up, my older brother just beat me in every single game we ever played. So I always wanted to beat him. So like whatever game we played, I was on GameFAQs.com or like Cheat Code Central, I think was one of the websites. Yeah, CC is like Cheat Code Central. And I'm like finding all these little advantages and like glitches and stuff. So I was always into glitches. And then, before Halo even came out, I was playing Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. Dude, if anybody watching this podcast has played this game, you know how amazing that game was.
Bro, quick tangent, Splinter Cell, I'm telling you, like the shakeup that gaming needs right now is in
Mercenaries.
Spies versus Mercs.
Yeah.
Yes,
Spies
2v2, Spies versus Mercs. Spies were all had non-lethals. You could shock people. You could smoke them, poison them. It was in third person. You could hang from the rafters.
Yep.
You could land on people, break their neck and all that stuff. And then the Mercs, they had armor. They had lethal weaponry, they had grenades, they had
first person,
they were in first person. So and like the field of view on the Mercs was pretty tight. So you're always like paranoid for like Sam Fisher dropping out
like
the
flashlight, and there's like spies hanging from the rafters. Like you got to pay attention to like what's going on.
2v2 Spies versus Mercs needs to happen again. I think honestly the shakeup would be with like battle royales getting kind of stale.
Was it Xbox One? They had one title. I forgot what it was called.
Was such a
Chaos Theory.
It was such a blip in the ether that you could bring Spies versus Mercs back, and everybody be like, oh my god, this new game mode's taking over the gaming industry, and people be like,
it's kind of a weird twist on like S&D, but like very, very like nuanced and niche.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're clawing even before Halo. You're clawing in Splinter Cell. Why were you clawing in Splinter Cell?
So there was a glitch if you were the mercenary. So the mercenary had 3 types of grenades. There was chaff grenades, which like disabled the spies' equipment.
Yep.
There was smoke grenades, and then lethal grenades, obviously. And there was and the way that it worked was you like held, I want to say it was like a D-pad, and then there was a cycle that could come up, but you had to also hold Y. So the only way to do it was like you had to hold Y and then rotate through the menu while pressing R at the same time. So it was almost like it was like a triple shot kind of thing, because you're holding Y and you have to hit the trigger like as you rotate through the grenades. It was a glitch. So then you could shoot all 3 grenades like,
oh wow,
and that would fuck up a spy if you hit it with that. Yeah. His whole screen's going crazy. He's getting
a wombo combo.
Yeah, it was super, like he's getting flashbanged. All his shit is like not working anymore, and he's taking damage. Like
you're dropping faker combos on people.
Yeah, exactly. It's an Akali faker combo for sure. But yeah, so I would do that to fuck people up in that game, and I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. Like I would read how to do it online and then just like try to do it in game.
Find the best way to do it, yeah.
And then like fast forward to Halo 2, I'm doing super bounces on top of headlong. Like I was just doing glitches.
Zanzibar is my favorite.
Yeah, you could get outside. Go outside of Zanzibar, like over that crazy cliffside on the beach. Yep, you could do that, or just to get on top of the base itself.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember playing that game and like I was doing all these different glitches, and then I remember one of my buddies was like, bro, the best player in the world, his name is Walshy, and he does this weird thing with his controller. He like presses the face buttons with his index finger. And I'm just like, what? That's weird. And then like fast forward a week later, I'm playing, and for whatever reason I look down at my hand, I'm like, wait a second, I do that.
That's crazy.
Like I naturally did it without even thinking about it. So yeah, I played Claw before Halo even came out, and then so I was same story. I was doing glitches, and I was just always into glitches for whatever reason. And then I learned about BXR. I remember the first time I got killed by a BXR playing head to head. Remember there was a
cheating.
Yeah, there was a 1v1 playlist in Halo 2 called Head to Head, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, so fun.
And I remember just like turning a corner and dying instantly. And I was just like, what the fuck? I did think he was cheating. I was like, how did this guy just kill me? And then
because there were cheaters back then. You could mod your Xbox.
Oh yeah, you could. I remember the elites that would fly to the top of Warlock and
oh my god,
automatic.
Or you have an
DRs.
assault rifle that could shoot rockets.
Yep.
Or shoot tanks.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, crazy shit. So yeah, I thought it was getting cheated. Found out that it was BXR. I learned that, and then really the double shot didn't really come into the meta until 2007.
Late 6.
Yeah, late 2006.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because my montage came out probably mid 07.
So how did you get into like because I've heard, I grew up with Hunter, so I know I've heard his story of how he kind of found and was And back then, you had to be kind of like ushered into the competitive space. There wasn't a very clear-cut way. There wasn't a game battles. There wasn't social media. The way you got into these lobbies and into that like upper echelon of the top-tier pros, where you could like go into the custom games and get into the scrims, the free-for-alls, you had to kind of shit on somebody in a game and them kind of like take you under their wing. So, what like how did that happen for you?
It's kind of a mixture of things, actually. So this was back in the MLG forum days. Yep. So everybody was a forum lord, and like you had your reputation points and stuff on the MLG site. And then I had a lot of hype men, I guess you could say. There's a user named G Porter. Do you remember G Porter? Maybe you never.
I remember
played with
G Spot, but not G Porter.
So G Porter was a friend of mine that I played with a lot, and he made a post on the forum that said Eli is going to win the Atlanta 05 free for all. And that was my
before you went to events? Was that your first event?
That was my first event, was Atlanta 05. And he made this thread probably like 2 weeks before the event. And it just added all this extra pressure on me. I'm like 15 years old. And this guy is like, he just thought I was going to win. So, because I was beating all those guys. So it kind of like gets me some traction. I guess, man, I'm trying to put the timeline together.
You posted at 50 in the free-for-all playlist? Or were you in the Moon and the Stars?
Ultimately, I was the highest ranked doubles player in the world with Hysteria. Me and Hysteria got to 48 legit. That's a whole different story. But honestly, okay, so this is super funny. The way that I actually first got into games, like pro games, was I made a poser tag. Remember the pro Pac-Man?
Oh, yeah.
So he had joined Evil Geniuses. He was like one of the first people to get on like pro org, I guess, at the time. Yeah. And so as soon as he joined, I made the tag EG Pac-Man. Like I took it before.
Sharked his gamer tag.
Yeah, I sharked the tag. I'm like
holding it for ransom Microsoft points.
I was like 14 or 15 years old, and I'm playing on it, and I was friends with Hamster, and Hamster was like a lord. He was at 10 FPS, or sorry, 10 sensitivity god. He would win like every free-for-all on 10 cents. And he had I3DL Ogre 2, which looked just like Ogre 2's legit tag, I3DI. And we played matchmaking together where I'm Pac-Man and he's Ogre 2. And we matched with Puckett and Shibby on our team, which was crazy on Ivory Tower. And like, they were pretty good players, but me and Hamster carried the fuck out of them. Like Hamster and I both dropped like 20 kills in TS, and Puckett and Shibby accounted for the other 10.
And they know you're not the real guys.
Well, no, but they know Tom. They know Ogre too. Yeah, so they probably are like.
They likely have those guys on their.
They knew
list.
that Hamster was a poser, and then I sent Puckett a message like, "Yo, LOL, that guy's posing as Tom. Can you give me a friend request?" And they added me to their list, and then ended up inviting me, and we played like matchmaking for a while. And I pretended like my mic was broken, like I didn't have my mic plugged in. So I'm like, "Sorry, bro, my mic's messed up. Like I'm gonna get a new one tomorrow." Like just BSing my way through.
Keep
this
kicking that can down the road.
Because I knew who they were. Yeah, I knew who they were, and I was a little kid. And I was like, man, I really like playing with these guys, but they're not gonna play with me if they knew I'm just some loser.
That MLG catfish.
Yeah, this is the first version of catfishing. And then like I don't remember exactly how, but they invited me to a lobby with like Pistol, It Was Luck, Bonfire, Piracy, and those guys. And I'm playing a free-for-all with these guys, and I get third in the first free-for-all, and then I win like 3 free-for-alls in a row in a fully stacked pro lobby.
Yeah.
And then I get friend requests from them, and I'm doing the same thing. My mic's broken. Sorry, guys. Like, I'll get a new one.
Well, and free-for-alls are kind of perfect for that because
nobody really talks.
They're not expecting comms.
People kind of like...
Was this like pre-patch Halo 2? Like, or was this kind of in the middle of the pack?
I think this was post-patch.
Right after, I think.
Yeah, because like the BXR wasn't a thing until post-patch. Yeah, it took like 6 melees to kill somebody pre-patch.
It looked like a rock'em sock'em robot fight.
I remember the first time I played that, we went to a friend's lake house, and I had never played pre-patch because I didn't ever have original Xbox.
Yeah.
We started 1v1ing, and I was blown away. I was like, why isn't he dying? And you're like, oh, it's pre-patch.
It's so different. Like, probably a lot of people watching this that like didn't get into Halo until Halo 3. They're like, what the hell are you guys talking about? But like...
OGs only.
Yeah, super OGs will remember... There was actually a meta to the way you would melee somebody. I don't know if you know this, but like a jumping melee did... So you could actually do a jumping BXR if you were on the way down. So if you had vertical momentum downwards as you meleeed somebody, it actually did like 3 times as much damage as like a standing melee.
And that was how the rocket launcher, people would grab the rocket launcher and they'd use it as a melee tool because it was a heavy weapon.
It did
if
more.
you jumped and bopped them, it would kill them in one hit.
Yeah. And I remember learning that by watching like the original Ogre montages. Remember like Ogre 2 had like the Bisgusting
which they made.
Oh shit! Are we good?
No, we're good. Are they good?
Yeah.
Jeez.
But
but on a side note, the ogres made that first montage to troll me because at the time I had made the first MLG montage and I was really good friends with Walshy. He was teammates with Ogre 1 and Ogre 2, and I would take every opportunity to try to get these guys to create montages because I'm thinking to myself, well, like if I'm decent and these guys are the best in the world, like imagine the clips they would hit. And I'll never forget the Ogre twins. Montages are for noobs, Makowski. Professional gamers win matches, win tournaments. And I was like, all right, okay.
I always wondered that because it had a really trolly name too. It was Bisgusting, but with like all the elite spelling, like B1
and then
5.
It's called teamwork, Hotch. It's called teamwork, Hotch. Like, bro, play that back. Like
is that Zios?
It was Zios.
That was making fun of
purely to meme me and to meme content at the time because it was just a total afterthought. This is 2004, 2005. Like we didn't have a YouTube, Twitter, none of that stuff.
They looked at content.
These guys were just
that's what you did when you couldn't hang with the pros.
Yeah,
that was the cop out.
Yep, content was for if you weren't good enough to actually compete. So these guys were tunnel vision on competition, and finally around that time they. Decided to make a montage, but it was just to troll me, and then Walshy made one for real. But even before that, Eli, you were one of the first 5 people, along with I think it was myself, Gunshot, I want to say Talent, you, Eli, and then
Reed was up
maybe
there too.
Reed 18, maybe like Reed 18,
Shinny,
Shook 1,
yep.
Some of the first like 5 to 10 OG montage makers.
Furion was making back then.
But ours were MLG montages. Do you remember the disparity and almost like disdain for the two communities? One was hardcore and featured 100% MLG gameplay. The other would be from like Big Team Battle, custom games, and they'd feature a little bit more wonky, kind of like off the wall gameplay.
Abuse Goat montages?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Those are some of the most slept on.
Those were solid for sure.
The one where he throws the double kill logo in the BR scope every time he double shots.
Yeah.
There are some crazy ones.
So talk to us about the kind of that early montage scene era and
I want to hear him talk about him going to that first event. The dude was hyping him up on the forums.
Well, I do have to go back a little bit too when I was posing as Pac-Man. So I'm winning these lobbies. I get friend requests. I think Pistol is Pistol II at the time. He was on. He teamed with Shook 1 actually. It was like him,
Pretty
Dark
sure
Vegito.
that was his gamer tag in Reach too when you teamed with him. He kept the same thing for all this.
Yeah, he was Pistol forever.
And so he added me, and then I guess they needed some for free for all, and like I kept playing on the Pac-Man tag, like just hoping I would get an invite, and I get an invite, and now I'm suddenly in a lobby with T Squared. Who else was in there?
Shockwave maybe.
Yeah, Shockwave.
Ghost Ayami.
Ghost. The Carbon and Final Boss guys played a lot. Like if you were in one of those if you were in one of those Wall Street lobbies, it was probably like me and you, and then three members of Carbon and 3 members of Final Boss, and we did not belong.
Yeah, so I get in this huge lobby, all huge pros that I've been watching online, and I just win literally every game. Like I went on like a 6 or 7 free for all win streak. And after that, I was just like, okay, I feel like I've proved myself. Maybe if I tell them that I'm not actually Pac-Man, maybe they'll add me on my real tag, and then I can stop this stupid, like, poser ruse that I'm running. And I sent a message to Pistol and T Squared, and I was like, hey, this isn't actually, I'm not actually Pac-Man. My real tag is Eli the Ninja. And they all blocked me. They blocked me on EG Pac-Man, and then I got on my real tag and tried to send them a friend request. They blocked. They
pre-blocked.
They declined and blocked me on that, and I was just like, "Fuck!" Like
the gig's up. It's over.
Yeah, and it took me. So then so that was like the last that I got to practice free for all with those guys, and then I but I was friends with Legit because Legit was still on the up and coming at the same time.
Yep.
So I played with like Legit and Nated and some of these other like pros that were not like at the top at the time, and later did become one of the best. And then I did terrible at my first event. I want to say I got like 5th round maybe, but at Atlanta 05 is probably the origin of the Eli ledge call out, because I was on the main broadcast and I got a Killtrocity from that ledge, like in one of my earlier rounds of free for all. And that, like, I remember that got posted online in like the MLG game room at the time. And then, so fast forward, that was like the only event I went to in 05. So there's a lot of downtime till my next event, which was Meadowlands 06. And between that time, I can't really remember all of it. I mean, this is forever ago, but somehow I started getting back into those lobbies. Walshy added me onto his friends list.
Yep.
Walshy started inviting me to all these games. I was playing with Karma, who was like by far the best 1v1.
Why did they start? Because you got blocked by one group of pros, and then these, like, the Walshy side was really receptive to you. Why do you think that was?
I really don't know. I mean, Walshy was always just like a more open-minded, like forward-thinking person, I would say.
I think that's exactly what it is. He's I don't know him personally. I've just been a big fan of his for a while, and he seems like the kind of guy that just gives respect where it's due, regardless of like maybe your
stature,
clout, or status. But if you recognize his talent, and like, because for him it's like, I put this guy in the room and I get to play against him, and he's got some skill. Then
he's pushing me.
Learning something.
Yeah, he's pushing me in some way. Yeah. So
what's funny too is like, I now finally have the answer to that question, because I think as a kid I was like, why did Walshy give me a chance? But now that we see Walshy at every event,
got a chance to ask him this. Yep.
We end up drinking beers with him the Sunday night of like every event now, because he's just always there. And I think you had a talk with him and you asked him like, yo, why did you play with like me and Eli back then? And I think his answer was something like, well, you guys just had good attitudes and you would always play, and you like...
He said you guys were always on and you guys were always positive.
Yeah.
And you were always playing well. So those three, I think those three things were like the trifecta to get us, who were relatively no names. And honestly, at that point, we had tarnished names, because I had started making montages totally counter to the competitive scene.
Yeah.
You had been on a fake gamer tag. And goddamn, like we were just about blacklisted at that point. But Walshy was really the guy who kind of like slayed out at the gate, opened it up for us, and let us in.
Yeah. Which, like, dude, Walshy, if you're watching this, thanks, man, because, I mean, shit, we might not even be sitting here having this talk if it wasn't for that, right?
I mean, we essentially met through Walshy, and then our combined passion for montages, but I don't want to get too far ahead of that. I want to let you get back to this, wrap up this EG Pac-Man story. Cause
Well, I mean, that was pretty much it. Like, I never played on that tag again, and then I started getting into these lobbies, got good practice, and I really built up my confidence, I feel like, because I was beating Karma, I was beating Captain Anarchy, Shockwave, Walshy, like all these guys online. Yeah. And I was really getting the hang of the double shot at this time too, and I was like one of the first people to actually get it down really good.
And you could perform the double shot really well and efficiently because of the claw, right?
Yeah.
That's how that ties.
You had to claw.
You had to claw to do it. Yeah.
Because if
there were no paddles at the time.
If you weren't clawing, like you couldn't aim at the same time that you were
pressing X.
Yeah.
And then like the quad shot ain't happening.
No, you definitely ain't quad shotting.
Yeah, so it's RRX and then YYRRX.
And like you've mentioned to me before, the degree of kind of like frame perfect input you have to have in order to accomplish it. Because I tried it a little bit, never really, and it was something that I could pull off every once in a while. And it was never in like a competitive setting. I didn't play when it first came out, but at the very tail end of Halo 2, I could never really master it. The rhythm was like,
when we talk about the
little wonky.
When we talk about the difficulty level of pulling off a double shot or even a quad shot, it's like landing a perfect combo in Street Fighter. It really did combine sort of that FGC element to FPS, and that was part of what I loved about it.
Honestly, the reason I think I was so good is because I was really into rhythm games, and I played this shit out of Flash Revolution, which you had to be literally frame perfect to get a perfect in the game on a note. And I had some songs that I would do over 3,000 notes frame perfect, like because
there's
I just
a video
played
of this
and played
online,
and played.
isn't there?
Oh, there's tons of videos of me playing.
You guys got to check
online.
out old before he was making Halo montages. He was making
FFR videos.
FFR.
Yeah, I was the top 10 in that game for a period of time. There's some Halo players I met through that too. But yeah, so I got really good at that, and then go to my second event, Meadowlands 06. And this was back, you had to play through 7 or 8 rounds of open bracket because there was so many players. There's over 2,000 entrants in the free-for-all.
It was all split screen there too?
Yeah, split screen for the first like 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And then I think starting 5th round, you could play full screen.
And you're basically playing ultra wide.
Yeah,
back on a
square TV.
75 field
on a
of view.
CRT
with your opponent almost sitting in your lap.
Yeah, dude, you're like literally playing like this.
Don't screen peek. Like
yeah, I mean,
you're screen peeking.
You were always everybody just assumed you were screen peeking. But I went through 7 rounds of the Open, never dropped a game. I was winning most games by like 15 or more kills in the amateur bracket. And then cruised my way to pro bracket, which was top 16 from AM bracket, joined the 16 that were pre-qualified into pro bracket. And then you played a 32-man round robin format, which was 7 more rounds.
Wow.
How the hell did they get these tournaments done back in the day? Looking at the scheduling for Halo Infinite and just esports tournaments in general, how the hell did I
don't even know. It was crazy because they did the whole amateur FFA on Friday, and I think like 2 or 3 rounds of amateur 4v4, and then Saturday morning you would play your next rounds of 4v4 AM, and then in the afternoon they did the pro bracket. So Saturday afternoon is when they actually did the pro bracket, and then Sunday morning, if you made top 8 in the free-for-all, then you did a 1v1 bracket to see who actually won the FFA.
Well, how are the people, because I know there were people that were competing in the 4s that were also competing in the 1v1s and the 2v2s.
It was all separate. Free-for-alls would...
Well, 2s were not at an MLG.
Yeah,
there was certain events that had 2s, but like
they were like more locals. But like I know Karma. Like how do you, back to your point of how today are we in a situation where
the pros can't play free for alls?
It's not capable. Like we haven't seen. We've seen like maybe top 8, top 16 guys play in the free for alls once they're out, but we haven't
Lucid,
seen like
Frosty,
Renegade. No, those guys haven't been able to compete.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they had way more setups than they have now.
I think so.
Because I remember there was at least 32 stations.
Rows and rows and rows.
It was just like you walk into the venue and there's like
split screen does help a little bit.
2 rows lining this wall and 2 rows of setups lining the opposite wall.
Yeah.
And you got like the Dr. Pepper booth and the Pro Lounge and stuff, like various parts of the venue. But I think they just had more Xboxes and more TVs.
Yeah.
Plus, like you said, split screen helps a lot to get through the initial rounds.
2x efficiency.
Like, think nowadays, I feel like gamers are so like entitled. Like they'd be like, "You want me to do what? Play split screen?"
That's unheard of. That would get that would be the talk of on Twitter.
Yeah. Can you imagine this tournament series made us play split screen? But that was just like the norm back then.
It was just
like you had you're playing out of open bracket, even in Halo 3, like you're playing basically
5 rounds of split screen,
entire tournament on split screen, and then as soon as you have to play somebody that is a pro caliber team, you're likely playing somebody that's been playing
that's been warmed up
full screen
and
it's your first match of the day on split screen or on full screen. And that's mainly that was why you got so much respect for making it out of open, because there was that big ass hump there on that pro tier level.
So I think I played more Halo at Meadowlands than any other player, because I played through amateur free-for-all, I played through amateur 4v4, I made pro bracket in both, and then I made top 8 in the free-for-all, so then I had to wake up early Sunday morning to go play the 1v1 bracket. Granted, we didn't make it to Sunday for 4s, but like I played all day Friday, all day Saturday, and Sunday morning. I doubt there was many players that played more than that.
What was the first tournament you got that top 8 at, and how long after was that from the Atlanta 05 tournament where you first got started?
It was actually my second event, the same one I'm talking about. Yeah, so second event, Meadowlands 06. After I made pro bracket, I still remember to this day, because this is when they would call you up on the megaphone or the loudspeaker. They would you had to just listen closely to see what station you were at. And I remember I was the very first name that they even said for pro bracket. They said, all right, on the main stage, I need Eli, Captain Anarchy, Ogre 2, Walshy. It was like all these players that I literally would watch their videos, or like I watched their tournament gameplay. Like all these people I looked up to, and a lot of them I had been beating online. So I was still like confident, but it's still nerve-wracking as hell to be a 15-year-old. They're like, okay, your first match in pro bracket is on the main stage against all the fucking legends of the game. Like, good luck. It's like, I was nervous, but then I sat down, and as soon as the game started and I got my first kill, I think I got the first kill in the whole game. And if you start the game and it says gain the lead,
yeah,
you're just like, oh, this is just what I do every day. Like,
settle in.
It's whatever. And I just like, that just calmed the nerves instantly. I ended up winning that free-for-all by 10 kills. Like,
wow,
it
holy
was
shit.
not even close. And I ended up winning, because like I said, it was 7 rounds of free-for-all. I won probably 3 of my games, and I got top 4 and just about every other, and I might have got 7th in one of them, because I mean, free for all, honestly, there's a level of RNG and randomness to it, for sure. But I ended up placing 4th in the round robin, so I was 4th best in points out of the 32. And the way the 1v1 bracket worked was, 4 plays 5, right? Guess who got 5th in the round robin?
Walshy?
Karma.
Oh, so wait.
The best Halo,
the best 1v1 player
of all time.
The free-for-all tournament fed into
Devolved.
the 1v1 tournament?
Yes.
Wow, I never knew
Once
that.
you got to the top 8, you did not play a free-for-all to determine the winner. You played a 1v1
That's a totally
tournament.
different game type.
Yeah,
That's poker.
They changed it.
That's playing a full 9-person poker table down to head-to-head. That's actually kind of nuts.
Yes.
Can we bring that back? That's kind of crazy.
It was pretty, like, I don't know. It was epic in a way, like that it comes to a 1v1 conclusion, and then you go through the whole 1v1 bracket. But they did later change it the following year in 07 to where the top 8 in points from the round robin just played one more free-for-all.
Yeah.
And the person that won that won the free-for-all.
I think Karma had won 10 of those in a row, and since he was the 1 seed at that point, it was like mathematically impossible at that rate for him to ever not lose.
No, he was the undisputed GOAT.
He was undisputed.
Yeah, he was
best
insane.
1v1 Halo player of all time. And then I think that was when MLG was like, all right, let's switch up the format just to freshen things up, keep it interesting.
And what's so funny is, like, I practiced the hell out of free-for-all, and that's why I was so good at it. But I didn't really expect to get top 8, so I didn't practice 1v1s. I had never played a MLG setting 1v1 before.
Until LAN
against Karma. It's like my first ever 1v1 is against the best
kid.
1v1 player of all time. Good luck. And yeah, it was totally different. It was on Warlock. Carbine starts. So you started with a carbine.
Oh, shit.
And I mean, there's BRs on every platform, so like it was pretty easy to get one. And then camouflage top mid. So it's a really interesting kind of dynamic to play 1v1, and Karma had already mastered it before I ever played him. So he could stand in one spot, throw a grenade here, and then he just stares and he knows I'm going to spawn right there, and he's just ready to quad shot me. He was really sick at double shotting too.
Yep.
And he had the double shot down in ones to where he would just sit top mid and camp and wait for camo to respawn, and he would use those pillars, and he would like peek double shot, and like so much DPS and not taking any damage like while he did it. So he's so hard to play against. I'm actually proud of myself that I got 7 kills in the.
What did y'all play to? 15?
15?
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
So I got 7 kills against Karma. Sends me to losers bracket, and my first losers bracket match I believe was Strong Side. Yeah. And Strong Side had just joined Final Boss at the time, and was like he was the talk of the town.
Yeah.
And he beat me as well. And then I think I played legit for consolation. So you actually played a match to see if you got 7th or 8th.
There was no top 8 back then. You played your
5th,
consolation
6th.
match.
No, you knew exactly what you got.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like.
Actually, it might have been Ghost Ayami. I'm not sure. I had to go back and look at it. But I ended up finishing 8th because I lost all my 1v1s. But I came home with a check because I got top 8. And that was kind of like...
Mom, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. My parents, I still remember the look on my mom's face too, because like they drove me there, and my mom didn't give a fuck about the gaming stuff. She gave a fuck, but she didn't like understand it. So she went shopping. She like goes to the mall like while I'm in pro FFA, and she comes back. She's like, "Oh, how'd it go?" I'm like, I got 4th in the round robin. She's like, "What?" Yeah. Like she saw that the whole like there's literally thousands of people in the venue. She's like, You got 4th? And then that was kind of like a moment of realization for her, I feel like, that like, wow, my son actually is really good at this. Because I told her I was really good, but I mean, every kid says that,
It was so hard to convince. At the time, I was regarded as a top 10 player because of those Halo 2 free-for-all lobbies and doing really well in scrims online. Had a chance to even team with Karma before he joined Carbon, and my family was just like, nah, you're gonna go work a regular job and go work at Chick-fil-A.
Granted, you also came at them super heavy. You didn't go the Eli route where it was like, hey mom, can I go to this tournament? It was like, Mom and Dad, I figured out what I want to be when I grow up. I want to I want to be a professional gamer. And they're like, fuck no. And we lived in Dallas.
I came on a little strong, you know.
There's no traveling. That's a 20-minute drive up to I think at the Hotel Intercontinental. You came on real strong.
Yeah.
Like, You were all or nothing.
Yeah. That's funny. I always was pretty good at talking to them. Plus, I kept my grades up. I made sure that, I had solid grades. I was doing my homework. So, like...
Now give him a reason to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, he's doing good in school. His brother travels to play soccer. Like, let's let him travel to play this game and see how it goes. And my brother, I have to thank my brother. My brother told them, like, he's really good.
Yeah.
Because he played too. Yeah, he played too. And, like, they saw the way we were growing up. We were always hyper competitive against each other. And he usually always beat me. So when he turns around and says he's way better than me now, they're like, wow, maybe he has improved. So my brother vouched. Dad drove me to Atlanta, and this was, by the way, my dad had just gotten in a motorcycle accident, broke his arm. So he drove me to Atlanta.
With a sling?
With the fucking cast on like this the whole way. Yeah. Dad of the year.
Oh, Dad's a real one.
Dad of the year award for sure.
I'm curious, though, as to how many of the pros and the guys that have come up on the scene have the older brother's story to...
there's a lot.
I've heard Shotzi talk about his, and I don't know if it was his brother, but it maybe had been a cousin. But it was like you said, just that
fuel.
Getting my ass kicked by somebody who was older that had a little more motor skills and hand-eye coordination. But you being at a younger age playing, like you take over the sensei at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, my brother's still like a phenomenal gamer. He plays all these games that like have really low populations, but he just like becomes the best at it. Like he just figures out, he's the same way as me. Like he figures out how the game works and uses it to his advantage. And like, I mean, he's still a god gamer, but now it's funny. Like we can play games together. He carries me in League. He's like super good at League of Legends. And he taught me how to be good at that game. And then now he likes to brag to his friends. Oh yeah, my brother's a pro gamer, or was a pro gamer. So it's kind of come full circle.
You still are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not competing. I feel like what's funny is I feel like I could still compete if I like dedicated myself to it, but it's also just so stressful to compete.
Oh
like,
yeah, and the time commitment's just like you literally can't have a life.
You have to be on the game all day, every day.
And that at the time in 0405, really the only way to really truly professionally go was through competition. Now it's there's content, there's administrative, like you have sales, marketing, you have like really like
contracts, like there's so much paperwork involved.
Yep,
it's just a whole different world now. Like back then, I mean, we were high school kids, so it's like,
yeah,
you get home from school and play all day.
You're gaming anyway.
Yeah, it's like you just get home from school, get on the game, you don't have any other worries.
So talk to me, going back to the Eli Ledge moment, because I got to know, bro, like, it's only, like, there's Gandhi hopping, there's strong siding, there's the Walshy Ledge, and then there's the Eli Ledge. What was that like at the time, having that moniker? And then now, 20 years later, people are still calling out locations on Halo Infinite maps as the Eli Ledge. Like, what's that like for you?
It's really weird, honestly. Like, I remember, like, I don't even know exactly when it started because, I mean, I don't know. I know I did that cool clip that got shared a lot in the free-for-all, and I also know that Ghost Ayami would complain and tell people that I camped on that ledge all the time. So it was almost like a rib to me, like, oh, that's the Eli Ledge. That's where he's always just... Because I mastered that spot to where I could spawn kill people. They were spawning P1. There was like 5 or 6 spawn points that are right there.
Underneath?
Yeah, you're not getting out of P1 you're getting melted by that guy. Yeah. Unless you're walking backwards, you're going to get melted by you're screwed.
Like you can kind of play like the base, under the base, and P1 like fluidly, and you can just go straight up to P2 from there after you get a kill or two. So it's a really good spot in free-for-all to abuse, honestly. And I kind of mastered the art of abusing it, and it did carry me in free-for-all in some ways. So yeah, at some point they call it the Eli, and then it just stuck. And then, like, there's a version of Midship in every Halo since the dawn of time now because it's one of the best maps ever. So people just kept calling it the Eli, and there's still people that call, like, parts of Catalyst the Eli or Aquarius the Eli. Yep. And it's been weird for me because, honestly, I took a break from Halo, like the Halo 4 era. I didn't really play any Halo 4. And then, like, I played Halo 5 for a few months when it came out, but I didn't really like it. I didn't like the radar and, like, assault rifle. Yeah. Plus, I was playing a lot of poker at the time and doing well, so it's like, I'm just going to focus on poker and not play the new Halos. And then, but I was still interested in it. So I turned on, like, a tournament stream, and, like, I used to team with Pistola and Snipe Down and all these guys. So, like, whenever they were playing, I was like, I want to watch them play. So it goes to, like, Pistola's screen, and they do a listen-in on a Halo 5 map that, like, I don't even know. and they're like, our Eli, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
no way.
I had no idea that it was even being used, and it was just like a mind-blowing moment for me. I'm like, yo, they're still calling it that? Like, it was so weird for me.
That's crazy.
And then then I got back into it, started playing more, and then like shout out to Abitur. He was one of the people that started in Halo Infinite calling like the pink door on Aquarius, the Eli.
Yep.
Turn on his stream, and his whole team's always calling it that. And then our team started calling that little ledge on Catalyst, the Eli.
It just seems like something that'll never die. And that's kind of, that's special, you know, because we will someday. But things like the Eli ledge or our placements, the impacts that we've had on the community, montages, things like that, they live forever. It
is pretty wild to have that legacy. Because I never won a tournament. I never even got top 4 when I played. I got top 8 a lot, but like top 4 always eluded me. But like, even still, I had enough of an impact on the community to have a call out. I don't know. It's humbling and confusing, but like, it's still like a cool thing for me for sure.
Yeah. So carrying things on from that Halo 2 era where you're primarily getting it off the free-for-all reputation and then transferring into Halo 3 where you started making a name for yourself in 4v4, and your first ever teammate, you were the one who discovered Eric Snipe Down Rona. Talk to me about that experience, what you saw in Snipe Down, and what it was like teaming with an eventual living legend, kind of like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Snipe Down is he's a year younger than me, which is cool because now he's actually one of the oldest guys still doing it.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, I mean, you'll see him. He pops up in my Halo 2 montage a couple times. I think he was in a couple of my sprees or whatever. So we were playing Halo 2 free-for-all with him when he had the tag Talks Snipe Down.
I know you and I were in that lobby when he got the 91% free-for-all match where he just absolutely obliterated. And this was the Ogres, the Walshy, Carbon members. This was that lobby.
He was always...
He had 91% accuracy and demolished us.
He was always shooting, like, insane accuracy numbers. Like, I guess he never pre-fired corners. He always knew exactly when to stop shooting so that he had enough bullets in his clip for the next fight. Like, I don't know. He just has, and you watch him today, he still has one of the best, he has some of the best aim that we've ever seen in any FPS game.
Yeah.
Even in Halo Infinite. I think his playstyle didn't really fit Infinite as well as other Halos, but like he could still shoot with the best of them.
Yeah, and I think his kind of pivot into Apex, with it not being like 100% hit scan and having to shoot a lot more distances, I think the advantage goes to M&K players, but him on a controller where you have to lead your shots and you're playing against the aim assist in that, I think that really truly shows when somebody's like goated with the aim, and he can melt people with the best of them, just like leading shots and burning people.
And you look back at a game like Halo 3, that wasn't a hit scan game. You had to lead the battle rifle. So I think a lot of that kind of played into his success in Apex as well.
Yeah, so going back to that time period, so I knew I was teaming with Gunshot because Gunshot and I, another montage legend, we got super close in that time frame. We would just always play together regardless if it was competitive, social, whatever. So me and him were playing, and we were one of the best teams on game battles before like any Halo 3 events happened. So like Halo 3 actually dropped when we were still having there was a few more Halo 2 events left. So I think it was like Orlando 07.
Yeah, because Halo 3 dropped September of 07. So the end of the season's October, November. So there were probably one or two more tournaments.
Yeah, there was I think 2 more tournaments. It was Orlando and then Nationals.
Yep, Vegas
Nationals. Yeah, and then. So there's a lot of time to get used to Halo 3 and play with different players. And our game battles roster we were the first team to get 100 wins without a loss.
I remember that.
It was me, Gunshot, 8-Ball, and Effie the Box. And we didn't lose any games. And we dropped Effie the Box for Best Man.
Oh. Quite an upgrade. Nothing against the box, but best.
But still, it's funny that you're undefeated and you make a team change.
That just goes to show back then. If like you weren't getting first, you were making a team change, and sometimes you were, even if you got first, you still switched up.
So and the game battles ladder was like you're not always going to play against the best players. Like there was a lot of lower tier teams that we were kind of farming wins against too. So it's like we weren't like the best team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't know for sure if we were or not. We were doing really well, but Gunshot and I eventually started playing with Snipe Down, and I think I don't know, I can't take full credit for being the guy that discovered Snipe Down because it was, I think, actually Gunshot's idea to try him out, And then so we try him out with a few different force. We actually, one of the squads we tried out was me, Gunshot, Snipe Down, and Pistola.
Jeez.
Imagine if we actually like followed through.
And
with
you ended
that.
up teaming with Pistola eventually, just
we
not
teamed with,
in that timeline.
Yeah, later in the season I teamed with him. But it's actually funny. The reason we didn't team with Pistola was because on a Guardian game, a member of the other team fell off the map, and instead of like continuing the play, Pistola like jumped on the rail and like shot the guy a few times to make sure that he got the kill for that. And like when we
had some stats,
I'm guilty of doing that. We get one bullet in, on the way down.
Shot a guy falling off the map. That's a free kill before. I'm gonna admit it.
And Gunshot like was so appalled by that. He was like, instead of playing for the win, you took like a few extra seconds. Like, while I think Gunshot was dying to somebody that like Pistola could have shot,
to feel that type of way about it.
Yeah,
right?
and he just was like, bro, he's fucking jumping up. Like, he's chasing kills off the map.
He's like 13, 14 at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, Pistola was like a FFA god in Halo 2, but he hadn't really done anything in 4s yet.
Yeah.
And then, so we're like, no, we're not teaming with Pistola. And then we ran games with Silent.
Yeah.
Canadian Lord.
With 2 S's, right?
Yeah, S Silent.
Yep.
With the snake emblem.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that ended up being our roster when we went to Meadowlands 08. Me, Gunshot, Snipe Down, Silent. And we finished 7th. So we did get top 8. We had a pretty grueling bracket. We played against Demon D and Talent's team.
Yeah.
Naded's team. It was
Storm Ventures with Ramby and...
Well, no, that was their
Samurai.
Halo 2 roster.
Oh, that was Halo 2.
Naded was
right.
teaming with Severance, Toxic, and Wooly, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that was their team at... So we beat them, and then... Yeah, we finished 7th. And Snipe Down was kind of a standout on our team. Like, he had put up crazy numbers. So Instinct, who finished 3rd, I believe, scouted him. And they're like, we want this kid. So they pick up Snipe Down... And then the very next event, they get 2nd place with Snipe Down. Then Snipe Down gets scouted by Triggers Down, joins them, gets 1st place.
Yep.
Leaves Triggers Down after being on 1st place team to join Straight Rippin'.
Yep.
Gets 1st place again. So at
Nationals that year. I think he won a national championship in 08, right?
No, Final Boss won it in 08.
Yeah, Final Boss won it.
Was it 09? No, 09 was believe the hype.
Final Boss won the first
was
event
it
of the year
2010?
and the last event of the year in 08.
Yeah, I don't think Snipe Down won in Nationals for
maybe
a
he
little
didn't,
while.
yeah.
But he still had the best rookie season of all time. I mean, 7th, 2nd, 1st, your first 4 events.
Like, to parallel it to today's times, it's sort of like what we saw from Bound a little bit, but maybe even more magical. There was just something about that Snipe Down run that I just like will never forget because it was just so like like we talked about earlier, the names in the scene were so established and it was such a gate-kept thing to get into that it was wild to see someone new pop up.
You can compare them, but if you look at the individual body of work, Snipe Down was putting people in the fucking dirt that year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
He was getting every sniper rifle and just getting...
He had a cool name. Let's be honest, a cool name that goes a long way.
What it was, because every time he picked up the snipe, their snipe was down. It's like Eric Rona kind of, for me, like watching that shit, that was kind of the Hollywood esports story of a kid that just like came on and just never disappointed. And like I understand when you leave Triggers Down after a win, Straight Rippin' at that time was like that was the hot shit org.
Oh yeah,
like org team to play for.
Like 3D-esque
they
Final
like
Boss.
Put out that like Dr. Pepper montage that was just fucking.
Oh my god!
T-Squared was on the Dr. Pepper bottles, and I remember Obama got inaugurated, and then he's like drinking from like T-Squared's like in that picture. Like
they dropped. Was it Neighbor for Snipe Down?
I want to say yeah.
I think so because it ended up being T-Squared, legit,
Elamite,
and Neighbor went to Final Boss at that point.
I think Triggers
Down.
Triggers
Down.
It's
TD. It went to TD to team with Hysteria, SK, and Pistola, I believe.
Hysteria and Neighbor on the same team. That was it them or was it Pistola at the same time?
Yeah, Hysteria and Neighbor were duos. They had a dualtage, which.
Oh yeah, I remember
you
that.
did.
That actually
I had a dualtage with Hysteria
too,
in Halo.
right?
Yeah, dude, Hysteria and I were a duo in Halo 2 for at least a blip in time. I mean,
the bitter end.
Yeah, I mean, we were, like I said, me and him got the highest ranks in doubles in Halo 2. We were like level 48, and then we teamed. It was me, Hysteria, Cloud, who I wish he still played. Scotty is.
I always tell you, I think Cloud is one of the greatest players.
Cloud's. If I could pick one player that's not on the top 25 list, that should be, it's Cloud every time. He's a national champion, so it's like in football, like, does he have the Super Bowl? He's got the Super Bowl, and he just absolutely fragged the fuck out against anybody. He had the like 1.45 type KD against the top teams and shit. Like Cloud really,
he's just solid. Like
really
solid,
just doesn't get the
player.
credit he deserves.
He was another guy that came up in Halo 2 FFA days too.
Yep.
Like that's how I ended up teaming with him. Was like, it's like, man, this guy's really fucking hard to beat in free for all. I played with him a lot, and then we ended up like I think that's where Hysteria and I scouted him, and then yeah, we played with a guy named G.O.A.T. I have no idea where he is now or where he went even after we teamed with him, but honestly, if we slotted in any other fourth on that team, me, Cloud, Hysteria, and like Best Man, like holy shit, we would have won.
If you're out there,
I'm sorry, Joe. Like you're one of my favorite human beings that I met in Halo.
But we could have replaced you.
But like,
and we maybe should.
You were replaceable, and he knew it too. Like I feel like he was like, man, I'm sorry, guys. Like he was apologizing to us all the time because he like kind of knew. But in oddball, damn, you know how to hold an oddball. I'll tell you that. He knew his role, and he held the fuck out of that oddball in every oddball game. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of all over the place. So I guess, all right, yeah, going back to Snipe Down, yeah, we teamed, and he came to me, and like I said, he was younger than me, and I think he kind of like looked up to me in Gunshot at the time.
Sure.
And he was
definitely.
like, and like he's always been a really humble and like honest kid, and he said, "Yo, Instinct asked me to join, but like I don't know, I don't want to like leave you guys behind." And I said, "Eric, shut the fuck up and join their team. Like, why would you turn down an opportunity like out of the sake of like friendship or whatever? Like, I love you for that, but like, no, I'm not going to let you stay here if you have an offer like that." And I said, "Join Instinct." And I was like, it was totally fine. Like, I knew I'm losing like a killer player on my team, but like as a friend, I wanted to see him succeed. And that was just an insane opportunity. So he joins, and he'll tell you the same thing. Hopefully we can get him on the podcast. He's like here in Austin. Yeah. So maybe we'll get him on to kind of tell his side of the story.
Yeah, that would be a banging podcast. I'd love to have you two sit down and talk through this because this is some Halo history right here, and it still pertains to this day because, like I said, I know I know Snipe Down recently retired from Halo, but dude's had one of the biggest impacts in the league across not just Halo but all of esports. Yeah,
and maybe if we get him on, he'll talk about it. But I mean, back then, like, I went the extra mile. I had color-coded strat pages that I had printed out for every game type. Like, okay, at the start of Narrows, like Eric goes here, Gunshot goes here, I go here, and like we had, like, it was like several pages of notes that I made copies for our whole team, so that we were one of the most prepared teams at Meadowlands.
And you were doing a lot of that for the G1 Halo team, so kind of crazy to see how that comes full circle.
Yeah,
from the competition player to coach side.
And he even talked about, he was like complaining to me about some of his recent teammates, and he was like, "How are we more prepared with notes and shit back in 2008, and like people aren't willing to do the same shit now?" And he was just like pissed off. It was kind of funny to reminisce on that. But so yeah, after that event, he joins Instinct. We pick up Pistola and Mudvayne.
Yeah, Mudvayne
for San Diego.
Yep.
We lose a close game 5 for top 8. We ended up finishing like 10th after Constellation. And then the next event I think was Orlando. I go back to teaming with Cloud and Silent. So we picked Tommy back up. And then that event we finished 9th. Another like narrow miss to top 8. And then we pick up Severance and Tizoxic.
Yeah.
And we got top 8 with that squad, and then played with them again in Dallas, and we finished 9th. When if we got 8th, we would have made it to Nationals, but we lost close series to Legends, which was Best Man, Gandhi, Defy, and Nated.
Yep.
Barely lost that series, so they were the team that ended up going to Nationals, and they didn't even win a game at Nationals, bro. It's like, if you're going to beat me for the spot, like,
that's crazy.
At least show up at Worlds, but... Well, I guess then
Nationals,
it was Nationals, that we didn't have a Worlds yet. But, yeah, that was my 08 season, my, like, 06 to 08, and that's kind of, like, where I made a name for myself. And then kind of laid low for a while after that, to be honest. Like, Reach, I went to a couple events, but I was, like, starting to be more focused on college and poker and just some of my other... I've always been, like, had a ton of interests at the same time and, like, kind of juggled whatever I was doing. I think it makes me better as, like, well-rounded person and... kind of like learn stuff from one game and take it to another, and like until you've competed at the highest level in several games, you don't realize like how many similarities there are like there's lessons I learned from poker that apply to Halo.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And like things that I learned from Halo that like I take to poker that give me edges. So I don't know. It's
all just gamesmanship at the end of the day. Competitive.
That's why I think life is a video
edge.
game, because you still get those cues in life like you do in a video game, where it's like the winds of time push you down to the right and you go that direction. I think the same shit happens in real life, but
I think it's just like a really solid ability to have, is to take lessons and individual
experiences.
Not just like from gaming alone, but there's so many different things you can apply from every avenue of your life that you can put in, like whether it be gaming or your work or whatever you do in your free time. Like there's so many things that everything like cross contaminates each other, and you should be able to do like what Eli was saying and take those lessons learned and skills and attributes. And like being a great poker player, it's like the best poker players aren't the ones that just play the best hands. They're the ones that know how to play the bad hands to their advantage. Where in gaming, at every single situation, you have a percentage of like, do I have the power position? Am I at a disadvantage here? And it's gamesmanship. How are you going to play at a disadvantage in those things? And I think that's where the guys that everybody's good at the top, but it's the people that can make the right plays when they should lose. That really, really like take over the scene.
Yeah, in both poker and Halo, there's a multitude of various scenarios you can find yourself in when you're like ahead or behind, and just having the awareness to recognize where you are and what the highest percentage play is from that point. And I talk about this a lot in my coaching lessons. It's like there's more than one right play, and to me, a correct play is one that has a higher percentage of success than failure. So like there's a play that is risky, but there's still like a 55% chance that you come out ahead in this situation because you play your resources appropriately or whatever. But then there might be a play that's like a 75% chance to be better, or even a 90%. And it's like, to be the best player, you have to put yourself in the most optimal scenarios as often as possible. And it's like in poker, it's the same
sticking
thing.
with it, because sometimes you choose that 90% route of success and it fails.
And then you got guys like Hunter who will send it off top mid, pull a 360 YY, and try to hit a no scope for the win.
It's a 5% play, but if you pull it off, that clip's going to live in the minds of many for a long time.
There it is. High reward.
There it is.
But I think that's like a testament too. Like also, how many high level poker players do you know that are former Halo players?
There's actually quite
a bit.
Yeah, Nickel 9.
Sean.
Shout out to Sean. He was at one of my online tables like
Kyle
2 days
ain't no
ago.
Slouch.
Yeah, Kyle's really good.
Swish is great at
Swish.
poker.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Chris Brand, a.k.a. Bullets with a Z, used to be a top 16 player.
I know Best Man plays a little bit too.
Yeah, I was just texting him earlier today about hands. He's going to come down and play a tournament with me in a couple weeks. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crossover. I mean, like we said, like, when it comes to gaming, like, I hate to say it this way, but you either get it or you don't. And it's like, I feel like everyone, to be like highly successful at any game, you kind of have to have like a moment that it just like clicks in your head, like, oh, this is the correct way to do it, and to fully understand why it's the correct way to do it. And that can be applied across so many different games and so many different scenarios. And it's like, if you don't have the right mind that's like curious to keep learning, you're probably not going to get very far. Like I think that I'm lucky in the sense that I've always been extremely curious, and like I have a hunger for learning. And it's like, last night to go to bed, I read first couple chapters of a book called Flow, which talks about like optimal experience and how to like get the most out of your everyday life, and like how to approach situations to be like fully present and in the moment. And it's like, there's a lot of people that went to bed last night watching cat videos, and it's like, if you're not like actively pursuing like what you're interested in, like you're not going to make as much progress in life. And that's just a fact. And I don't know, I feel like nowadays it's probably hard to like have the right mindset to keep improving yourself, because there's just so much entertainment available at your fingertips. But it's like, at some point, like you're not going to get as much fulfillment out of those cat videos. Like you're going to want something more. Your soul's going to want something more.
Yeah, and the game's always changing. So even if like in the video game sense, like there might be a patch patch update or patch notes and an update. But in some cases, not only does the game within the game change, but you might have to go from Halo CE to Halo 2 to Halo 3 to Halo 4, 5, Infinite, not Reach, and you have to maintain. And the only way you can is, like you said, having that thirst and hunger for learning and adapting.
Life. Like
that sounds like life, really.
Every different generation you go through, each one of those people in those generations had to live the same stages of life as we do, but the way that they were able to do it is different. So like us, for instance, being born in the early 90s, we're kind of the last generation of people that had an early childhood without the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that gives us kind of a unique perspective on how the world is today. Whereas my little sister is 20, about to be 21 years old, and she had no idea the internet didn't exist before.
Some people don't know what life was like without the internet and just riding bikes or playing home run derby out in the front yard.
Going skating outside,
all that.
It's so different. It's like a advantage in a unique way, because you can kind of just see the way like corporations have kind of like monopolized attention.
Yep.
And it's like that's kind of the world we live in now, where it's like literally that you're just being bombarded with like information or things that you want, or like they're trying to like program you to want certain things.
I think that kind of plays into the people, like the casual side of gamers, that like you said, there's certain situations you play like a chess match, play like a poker hand, a little more patient, methodical with how you do it. And then there are some people that just spawn in and they have to sprint to an engagement, coin flip, win it, spawn, rinse, repeat over and over again, just for that quick feedback loop, rather than like, let me play this slow,
play the game,
play it like
just think a few steps ahead,
not checkers.
No, you're exactly right. Like I'll be lurking in random ass streams sometimes and just watch people play, and like I don't know, like someone, obviously it's a stream, so you're trying to like play to your audience or whatever, but there's some people that just like you said, it's just like a mind loop. Like they're just going for the engagement immediately. There's no thought or strategy involved. They take a fight. If they lose the fight, they're angry. If they win the fight, they're elated. And it's like, it's literally just chasing dopamine, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how we've been programmed. Like, and a lot of these younger people, they're glued to their phones all day. I mean, I can't talk because I'm glued to my phone all day. They got me too. But like, you have to recognize what's a dopamine machine and like where true happiness comes from, because a dopamine machine is not going to give it to you. And
stay away from that cheap dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. There's like different levels of dopamine. You get maximum dopamine if you like work hard on your
put
craft,
a lot of time into something, and then
you see the fruits
years
of
later
your
you see
label.
the fruit of it. Yeah. That's when you feel the most fulfilled.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely a weird world we live in now, and I feel bad for some of the kids that, like you said, grew up with the internet their whole life, because they might not know anything else, and it's like,
and they might be chasing the wrong things, really.
For sure. And it's like
iPad babies.
Yeah.
Put the shit down for a week and just do other things.
Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone and like get off of socials,
bro.
Like, and just see what it's like without it, because you might find like more meaning in life than you realize.
And you might even find more enjoyment in the games you play. I noticed some of my favorite gaming sessions come when I took a week or just a couple days or at least a week off. I come back, I'm refreshed, I'm fucking stoked to play again. And I've been doing this for 20 plus years now, and still get that same excitement I had when I was just a little kid. But
even when I was a little kid, gaming wasn't the first option. Gaming's what you did on rainy days. When at nighttime.
Exactly, when the clouds came out, when the rain came out, when the sun
School
set.
ended, you went and played outside until about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, sun goes down, go home, play till 8, 9, 10, or it's pouring rain, you play all day on Saturday.
Yep.
That's how it was, at least
I have
for myself.
vivid memories of playing Ocarina of Time after like coming home from riding bikes and skating all day. Like
basketball practice.
It's like, oh, the sun's down, now I'm going to try to get through the Goron volcano in Zelda or whatever. Like, man, it's just so different now.
Well, we've talked a lot about your competitive come up on this podcast. Before we wrap things up here, I just wanted to kind of reshape the conversation around content and get your thoughts and feelings around that. I mentioned it earlier, teased it a little bit, but you and I were the first, two of the first 5 MLG montage makers before YouTube. We were really, like I said, ahead of the time. Like, what got you into montages? What was your motivation for getting into montages, and what do you think about the scene as it relates to then and now? Yeah,
I mean, back then, like we're talking like pre-YouTube, when we had Halo 2 forum, which is now I think just called the Halo Forum.
Yep.
But back then it was halo2forum.com. And I mean, like I said, I was chronically online, like looking for glitches and stuff. And I think in that process found these other forums. It was probably the same forums that I was looking at glitches. They're also posting like these montages. And I still remember one of the first montages I ever watched was a Halo 1 montage. Man, I can't even remember who it was, but this guy was like no-scoping full camo players constantly for double kills and triple kills. And I thought it wasn't even possible how good the guy was. This was before I got good myself. And I was just like, I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like watching this and it's all synced with the music.
Oh yeah, that stuck with me.
Yeah, the music syncing was like the editing. So then like there was the Shook 1 era. There's like a Shook 1 Gorillas montage that really hit me, and like I still remember lots of plays. There's Nakamura. Yeah, Nakamura had one with the song "This Is My Rifle, This Is My Life."
Oh my god, yeah,
that Taj was like mind blowing for me. I don't know. I watched that a lot. Obviously, the Ogres, Walshy. Like I think Walshy's actually came out after mine, but I was watching these videos, and then I had a weird experience where like I rode one of my friends' buses home to his house so we could play Halo, and he was mesmerized watching me play because I was like so much better than him. So he decided to put a VCR tape, this will date me, puts a VCR tape in the TV and starts recording me play on a VHS tape. And then and he was like, I just want to like study the way you play. Because like I was just that much better than him at the time, and I was just doing stuff he'd never seen before. And I was like, this is really that cool to you to like watch me play? And then that experience kind of like hit me to where I was like, I need to figure out how to record my gameplay to put this stuff online. So I did some research online about capture cards. I got my Dazzle 90, I think.
Dazzle DVC 90.
Dazzle DVC 90. And then hit up Furion or somebody else from the
you went right to the top. You weren't messing around. I
was talking to Furion, and I asked him like how he edits his videos, and I mean, I'll say it now, but he gave me a cracked code of Sony Vegas. This is when you could get like the easy key codes.
I'm sure a lot of people relate to that.
Yeah, so I'm like using it like pirated editing software. I pay for all my software now, by the way, but
same.
But yeah, I was using like that, and then I don't know, I just learned the whole thing, how to record it, and then I just started recording and cutting clips, and then on Sony Vegas I just threw it all in the timeline, put some Dragon Force music on it because that's what I was listening to in high school with my buddies Trip Milts. Trip's probably watching this, so shout out to Trip. But we're playing Halo and listening to Dragon Force. So I was like, shit, I'll just use it. It's so epic. Like, it's got to be the most epic, like, possible backdrop for my gameplay. And then I just edited my first montage together. And then it just, like, took off.
Yeah.
I remember before it got copyright struck and deleted from YouTube, it had, I think, 650,000 views.
Yep.
So the fact that it's not on YouTube anymore is really heartbreaking for me. But
that's tough. Yeah, that 650,000 would put it at one of the most viewed montages of all time. I think as long as you're above that like 100K mark, you're looking at like a top 25, 30, 35 most viewed Halo videos of all time.
We're unfortunate that that's kind of how the copyright stuff happened back then, because nowadays, like, you had your audio ripped out of a montage, where now it would just be the AdSense would get filtered straight to Dragon Force instead of taking your content down. Yeah,
they changed it. Well, I don't think it actually, the copyright was what took it down. They just took the audio out, and then the guy that had uploaded it, I think was Air Guitar 901.
Yes, it was.
Which is
he's like an archiver.
Yep.
And he just took it down.
Yeah.
Because I think he took down all the videos that had no audio anymore.
That got struck.
They used to rip, you had your whole intro ripped from audio.
Yep.
I think YouTube might have been threatening them, like, hey, if you don't,
for sure,
take this down, or like take down a certain number of these, then you get struck or whatever. So he probably deleted to protect his channel, which is fine. But yeah, like you said, nowadays it would just get like copyright struck and demonetized. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. I made my own montage. Back then, like, people would actually sit down and watch like 15, 20-minute montage. Regularly. I mean, I would say like the average length of a montage back then was probably like 9 minutes.
8, 9
minutes. And nowadays, like, kind of goes back into what we were talking about with the attention economy. It's like everyone's attention span is so short these days because they're just like
And you used to hold your best clips to reveal in the montage. Now, if you hit a banger, it shit's on Twitter before probably the game you're in even ends.
Yeah,
so
right.
we've seen this whole shift happen before our very eyes. I've really enjoyed this podcast. It's been a wonderful trip down memory lane. I think it sets up some more conversations that we could maybe carry on in the next episode. But
real quick before we go, speaking of content, Eli, you are present on Twitch, streaming back on your content grind again, huh?
Yeah. So I just recently fired up the stream again, playing Halo.
Hell yeah.
I've been thinking about like maybe branching into other games, like because Halo is honestly kind of dead right now. But I'll be playing mostly Halo. Maybe some poker streams will happen.
I would 100% get on that.
Yeah, poker, because I've been doing really well in online poker recently. TFT, I play all kinds of stuff. So yeah, if you want to check me out, twitch.tv/Eli The Ninja. We keep good vibes. I usually got some lo-fi going on in the background. We're just vibing with chat and playing some games. So
we'll drop all of his links in the description below.
Yep.
Well, make sure you guys check out Eli the Ninja. Make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like, let us know in the comment section what you guys thought of this episode. We're always looking to take feedback from the community to improve stuff like this as we're really just getting it started. So to everybody that tuned in, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.